Okay, we are recording. All right, so it's my pleasure to introduce Delores Hayden. In A.C. McCarthy's award-winning essay, Reading the Red Bull Sublime, McCarthy argues that the romantic idea of soaring and climbing as the image of sublimity has given way to the contemporary idea of falling as the sublime, with Felix Baumgartner's Space Drop as her starting point. In 2012, Baumgartner parachuted from the stratosphere towards Earth, sponsored, of course, by Red Bull. Of course, the irony that a company whose tagline is that it gives you wings sponsors someone plummeting towards Earth is not lost on McCarthy. But the truth is that wings stopped being a metaphor for human flight in the last part of the 19th century and across the 20th century as they became literalized in the form of aviation. And this literalization of wings as human flight is the subject of Delores Hayden's new collection, Exuberance, in which she captures this idea of a new possibility of the sublime through technology. In this collection, Hayden explores the origins of flight, and as a poet and scholar, brings both erudition and lyricism to her book-length exploration of aviation. Delores Hayden is a renowned scholar. Her books include Building Suburbia, Green Fields, and Urban Growth, a field guide to sprawl and redesigning the American dream. But we are here to celebrate her tonight as a poet, and her poetry has appeared in many literary journals, including the ones we all want to be in, like Poetry and the Yale Review and the Best American Poetry. She has received awards from the Poetry Society of America and the New England Poetry Club. Her most recent collections are American Yard, Nymph, Dun, and Spinner, and Exuberance. And I am extremely fortunate to be Dolores's pressmate on Red Hen Press, which is how we met. And so I am thrilled to welcome Delores Hayden here tonight.
Thank you, Jason. I'm delighted to be reading for the KGB bar tonight. Last summer, I read with you at the Governor's Island Poetry Festival, and then with Naomi at Burroughs Poetry Bookshop in Dumbo. Now it seems like that is a very long time ago because we are in such a different world. I will mostly be reading poems from Exuberance, and it's a book about risk, excitement, and money. It's set in the early years of aviation. Before aviation was transportation, it was carnival entertainment. The earliest planes around 1910 were made out of wood, cloth, and wire. Pretty fragile. So what I've written are persona poems in the voices of young aviators, young performers, and a few in the voice of their promoter. The promoter was the agent who made contracts for them with various kinds of state fairs and carnivals and air meets. And there will also be a few flying lessons in the voices of instructors. So let me begin with Dominguez Field Air Meet. The speaker is Champ Pickens. And this is January 1910 in Los Angeles, the very first international air meet in the United States. Champ Pickens. I'm the devil's own publicist. Hell's mint, I am prince of pitch. Call me champion of ballyhoo. I invent the event. All face you. Once I raced bicycles, altitude, no money there, but airplanes, what a cocktail. Half a dozen flying machines, fizzing above full grandstands. Lincoln Beachy, the boy aeronaut, is here, steering a dirigible. He's never seen an airplane. Finger the canvas, I tell him, stroke the struts, pry apart the engine, oil it. A flying machine throbs, kicks, mount her, gallop into the game, grab the stick, wink at farmers who wish they could fly. Thousands will pay to watch you wrestle those wings. Yell as you roll, pitch, yaw. I front so many pilots, they call me the champ, call me the banker. My cut is a hell-whooping half. I tell the time with solid gold. I strut in a suit and spats. Watch me ballyhoo from hell to breakfast. Watch me spiel and grind till the last ticket's torn. The next poem is called Birdman. And Champ Pickens does persuade Link Beachy to work for him as a stunt pilot. His carnival name is The Man Who Owns the Sky. Birdman, Link Beachy.
A te che sei l'unica al mondo, l'unica ragione per arrivare fino in fondo ad ogni mio respiro.
Okay, we had a little musical interlude there. Can you hear me? Am I back on? Okay. Birdman, Link Beachy. Left school at 12, can't follow physics. I'm just a man stepping out on the law of gravity, making my living, leaving, and reappearing. Risk improves my mood and the money's good. I burn my last drop of fuel to climb 2 miles above Chicago. Ride a dead stick all the way down, proclaim the gospel of wings. I spin a holy ruckus in the sky, racket my blessing above root beer, red hots, popcorn. Give me 100,000 pairs of uplifted eyes. Amen. Bird woman, Betty Scott, pilot. Betty Scott is the first American woman to fly an airplane. The Wright brothers warped wings to corner the wind. They built a seat for racing, wrapped their flight school with rules. No drinking, no swearing, no flying on Sundays, no females. What man claims God does not allow women to fly? Glenn Curtis says he won't teach women but I know motors. My father gave me the keys to the Cadillac when I was 13. To keep me out of trouble, he said. I'm a finishing school girl, Miss Blanche Stewart Scott of Rochester, 5'1", dark red hair. If I marry myself to a rackety engine, of course it will attract publicity. I partner my plane in a ballroom of air. Clouds nudge my feet as they shadow slip across lakes and farms 200 yards below. Flying lesson, clouds. Focus on the shapes. Cirrus a curl, stratus a layer, cumulus a heap. Cumulus, a small cloud. Cumulus, a fine day to fly. Incus the angle, stay grounded. Read a cloud, decode it. Watch for clouds closing under you. The sky opens in a breath, shuts in a heartbeat. Drag, Lincoln Beachy, pilot. Why does any woman want to fly? Betty pulls as much press as those pushy suffragettes. So at a Los Angeles air meet, I appear as Florence. In a cloche and a dress, I splash around in the sky, one near miss after another. The worst female pilot anyone has ever seen, and the most exciting stunt. I turn up in Chicago as Clarice, veered toward the grandstands as spectators shriek, bounce down a city street as people scurry, zoom above Lake Michigan, drop on a ferry as passengers dive off the deck. Glenn Curtis grins. That cub Beachy. Champ Pickens shakes his head. Hell no. Flying lesson, stunting. The stunt is to flirt. You beckon, you spurn, you beckon. You tune up a waltz, turn to a dirge, swing back to a waltz. It's fatal to be too casual, though casual is what's demanded here. No one wants to see the top attraction tremble. People pay to watch you fly, know the limits of their patience and yours. Take the ship higher, faster, stress every inch of the ship, do things the inventor never intended, and then do them upside down and backwards. Feel, Ruth Law, pilot. When I'm not flying, I'm planning to fly, scribbling compass headings on my cuff, counting records I set today, records I might seize tomorrow. To balance 800 pounds of plane by feel and fuel gauge, I travel past jitters. My ship wavers, shivers. The scare is part of the thrill. I sleep out on my hotel roof in November, harden myself to a high, cold sky. Then I brace for tailwinds, grip the controls, and head east nonstop at over 100 miles an hour. Chicago to New York. I break the distance record, not the women's record, the American record, 590 miles. Done. Well, for the KGB bar, I thought I should include a poem about the cocktail that people mixed to celebrate in 1916. And this is called Flying Lesson, the Aviation. Mix 2 ounces gin, 1 ounce lemon juice, 2 dashes maraschino, 2 dashes creme de violette. Sky blue cocktail, cold as an open cockpit. I was fascinated with the lives of many of the pilots, but I think one of my favorite characters was actually a woman who was a parachute jumper. She performed with the pilots and would leap out of the airplane into often a field or meadow, or possibly she'd be in front of the grandstand if the event was in the stadium. So this poem is called Packing the Parachute, and the speaker is Tiny Broadwick, parachute jumper. Air circuses always put the jump last. Sometimes a harness breaks or a gust shoves you sideways like a liquored up husband. Wilbur Wright shook my hand once. You're awful small to do that. Honey, I'm 80 pounds, 50 some inches. I've landed in the chill of Lake Michigan and the hot steam of a moving train. Anything is easier than 13-hour days in a North Carolina cotton mill. I married at 12 and had a baby. That's the way it was done down south. I left Burla with my mother. At 14, I joined the Johnny J. Jones Carnival in Jacksonville, and I did all I ever wanted to do, jump from a hot air balloon filled with gas. I was the doll girl in white ruffles and a bonnet. I dropped like a baby falling from a bassinet. On the 4th of July, I stunted with red, white, and blue chutes, faster than a firecracker. I cut each set of cords, fell free before opening the next, and landed on a trapeze by the stars and stripes. An airplane is safer than a balloon. I pack every inch of my parachute flat and dry, fold, unfold, fold again, life or death in 1,000 jumps. I dropped from a plane, cruising at 70, silk like a coverlet, rope like an umbilical cord, a parachute clasps birth, rebirth in a bundle. Watch gravity work, watch me fall, watch me, watch before the chute snaps open.
Dolores, the papers are near the microphone, and we're picking up a lot of noise from the papers near the microphone.
As I turn pages? Okay.
Yeah. If you can just sort of keep it further from the mic, that would be great. I don't know if that's possible, but if you could, that'd be great.
I will do my best.
Thanks.
So when they were out on the circuit, the performers often had to think of new stunts. They would give people rides, and they finally developed the stunt that's the topic of this poem, Wedding in the Air. Clyde Pangborn is the pilot. Here's our pitch. Come on up, fly with the angels. We take you higher, low, faster, slow. We carry thousands who soar sitting next to our sheepskin shoulders as they watch us loop, spin, whip stall, wing over, wing walk. Every weekend, we add a wedding in the air, a cross between a stunt and a prayer. I load a bride in tulle, a groom in tails, a minister to splice them. Breezy rites at cloud altitudes beat marching down the nave in town to an organ wheezing Mendelssohn. The groom holds his hat, the couple pays for a long, long ride. People ogle vows sworn on the sky side of the dollar. After the show, the boys and I head for the juke joint on Airport Road, anywhere USA. They name the road before they build the airport. We do some ground flying. You bet I stay single. And then one more aviator. This is Bessie Coleman, Bessie Coleman was the first African-American to win a pilot's license, but she had to learn French and go to France in order to take flying lessons because nobody in the United States would teach her in the 1920s. And she had the support of the Chicago Defender, which was a Chicago newspaper. Whitegate Blues, Bessie Coleman. I got the Waxahachie, Texas blues, the colored schoolhouse washed up, Weevil blues. A laundress has just one young life to lose. I pound down the clothes and soak them clean, rinse out those piles of clothes and wring them clean. I'm 10th of 13 children, 13. Studied some math at Colored Normal U. I loved the math at Colored Normal U. Ran out of cash, quit school, tried something new. I longed for flying lessons to lift me in the air. I prayed for flying lessons. High up in the air, God built no segregated space up there. Give me lessons, I'll wing across the sky. Flying lessons, I'll cruise right through the sky. God made no white supremacy on high. Oh, Bessie, pilots tell me, no can do. Lessons, white men tell me, no can do. Defender asks, Bess Coleman, parlez-vous? And now New York and Coronado Bay, Chicago, Kansas City, and LA, and even Waxahachie want to pay to see me climb and spin and launch a loop, to watch me roar above their heads in loop, to see me grin a grin and hoop hoop. Though I won't fly a Texas show unless, no, I won't fly a hometown show unless white only signs come down before Queen Bess. A pilot's got just one short life to lose. A woman's got just one short life to choose. The book is in 3 parts, and so I've read you quite a bit about the exhibition pilots, who were the first part. Eventually, the pilots go to Hollywood and they star in silent movies. And as the aviation becomes more of a business, more about safe transportation, many of the flying circuses and the wing walkers are phased out. They're told they make it look much too dangerous, which of course is the way they've been earning their living. And so the last pilot to find his flying circus closes is Clyde Pangborn, the man who does the weddings in the air. But he eventually gets funded again, and he makes the first nonstop flight across the Pacific, which is a really remarkable accomplishment for somebody who started out playing these little country sites and circuses. So the entire trajectory of the book is moving from the point where they're entertainment to the point where they're doing some very serious flying. And throughout the 20s, there's a kind of exuberance which comes with the soaring and crashing. And the last poem is the title poem, Exuberance, which connects all the flying back into the financial world and the excitement of speculation in the 1920s. So this is the last poem I'll read, Exuberance. Exuberance sips bootleg gin from a garter flask with a ruby monogram, E. She wears a red dress one size too small. Eyes wide, she flirts with everyone. Dares Lincoln Beachy to run his tank dry. She watches Ormer Locklear climb out of the cockpit 200 feet up, tap dance on his upper wing as the houses of honest families with their square fenced yards slide below his shuffle. An oval pond winks in the sun like a zero. Exuberance is a show-off like Ruth Law. She speaks French like Bessie Coleman. These aviators predict every American will fly. Exuberance believes everybody ought to be rich. John J. Raska explains why in the Ladies' Home Journal. She gets stock tips from her manicures, call loans from her broker, buys radio, Seaboard Utilities, Sears, orders shares in investment trusts. Why not? Chain stores keep multiplying. Cars, trucks, planes, houses. This nation is all about growth and leverage. Look at the skyscrapers shooting up, then rivet steel, floor after floor. High-speed elevators spring through the cores. Planes soar over them all. Sherman Fairchild is making a million selling aerial photographs of real estate. Exuberance travels constantly, owns land in Miami, Miami Beach, Coral Gables, Palm Beach. She trades binders on lots 5 times over, befriends a Mr. Charles Ponzi from Boston, who is raking in a bundle near Jacksonville. Prices for sand and palms are sure to rise. Clint Curtis is buying 200,000 acres in Dade County. He's building towns. But how do we know when irrational exuberance has unduly escalated asset values? Wall Street is wing-walking. Call it barnstormer capitalism soon. The bankers and the brokers will steal the aviator's lexicon, claim their own tailspins, nosedives, crack-ups, graph their own doomsday cycles. Wonder how everything blue sky stayed up so long. Exuberance buys more stock on margin. Volume runs high. The ticker tape can't keep up. Higher, higher.
Thank you, Dolores.
It's strange to read that last poem in another time of economic collapse, because when I wrote it, we were flying high again in the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you, everyone.